welcome back, and so good to know that you're still with us on the show this morning. Well, as a civil servant, have you ever stopped to ponder what your retirement time will look like? Well, this morning we're discussing securing a fruitful retirement plan, and I've been joined on set by the ever dynamic and brilliant Global Director, Africa House, Engineer Abayomi Onosonya. Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning.
It's
Thank you.
always
for
a pleasure
having
to
me.
have you here.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
What does it mean to retire in the first place?
Wow. Good morning, Abuja. Good morning, Nigeria. To retire basically means to hang your boots, to throw in the towel after long years of serving your country or your company. And retirement is meant to be a period where you enjoy, or shall I say, reap the fruits of your labor. But unfortunately, in the Nigeria and Africa of today, many people are tired, but unfortunately, they have to keep pushing in order to be able to survive. So, we would aim to discuss what we can do as a people, as Nigerians, of course, my listeners, to secure that fruitful retirement devoid of hunger, of misery, and the anxiety that we've seen over the last couple of decades in Nigeria, because there are millions of retirees out there who are basically not smiling. And not smiling not because they've not served, they've served very well, but unfortunately, the economic realities is beginning to bite. It's eating hard, and even the people in service, they're feeling it. Talk less of people who are retired, because when you retire, what you earn is much less than what you would otherwise earn whilst still in service. So we need to really do justice to this topic to ensure that we not only help the ones who've retired, but to help ourselves, because whether we like it or not, we're going to retire.
Absolutely.
Like I always famously say, it's either you retire, it's either you leave the office or the office leaves you. One or two will happen to you. So we need to explore what you can do to keep yourself grounded before you retire, because many people often think, oh, I need to retire, then I'll think of what to do. And if I have time, I will give you examples, personal examples that I know of. I have a friend, he's a professor, you see, and he served gallantly, and then all of a sudden he said, oh, I'm retiring next month. Oh, okay, yes, I am retiring. And then he started to panic. And then I said, okay, relax, don't panic. And, if professor friend of ours, and I said, listen, just take 1 month off, do nothing. Just take 1 month off, go to your village, spend 1 month, relax, don't think about retirement. And then your ideas will start coming to you, because any decision you make now, you make a lot of errors, a lot of mistakes. And because money in your hand, people will start giving you strange advices. And you wake up in the next 365 days, everything is gone. And then it becomes a misery that you don't want to experience. So our advice our listeners to please pay attention. We'll see what we can do to do justice to this topic.
Would you assert that Nigerians are financially secure at retirement?
We're not. The simple answer is we're not. Because why are we not secure is because we've not been taught how to retire. In order for you to retire, you need to be taught how to retire, because retirement is a complete shift from what you think you know. Because in the service for 35 years, you go to work 8 in the morning, you come back 5 o'clock, 5:30, and then you have a routine. And all of a sudden you wake up like, I'm not in a rush to go anywhere. And then, okay, what do I do? Do I still go back to my old office, or what do I do with my life? And not even that. The issue is, what I'm earning is no longer what it used to be. So our financial security is at risk. I will say that, not just in Nigeria, by the way, across Africa, the African continent, you see. And why we're insecure is because we've not been taught what things we can do in order to be able to secure ourselves, to ground ourselves financially, so that what we're getting in is enough to take care of our bills. And unfortunately, the older you become, the more expensive living is, because some of the medicines that retirees use, they are really, really, really expensive. Because once you retire, you're prone to several ailments. From diabetes to hypertension, to glaucoma and whatnot. And these medicines, some of them, a single dose could be as high as 20,000, 30,000. So the question is, with your pension of 200,000, 250,000, how do you even manage? You have to buy petrol, you have to eat anyways. It's not that the older you become, the less you eat. You have to eat.
You still get hungry.
You still get hungry. And then you have unfortunately, many people have dependents, even still at that age. You have children still in school, you have cousins, even maybe your mother still alive, you have to take care of her. And then if you're lucky, you don't have a house yet over your house that you can call yours, your own. So then how do you pay? So these are some of the things that I know is in the minds of most Nigerians, especially people working in the civil service, because we seem to ignore this topic, and I'm happy we're discussing it today because many people, you say retirement, it's like this fear, that phobia, thank you, that eats you hard, and then no, I don't want to talk about it. No, I still have 10 years more to go, I have 20 years more to go. No, face the fear, create a plan, and then before you know, when retirement comes, you're prepared. You just smile at retirement and say, you know what, I'm fine. So we'll attempt to discuss what mistakes to avoid, what businesses you should do, what businesses you should not even put your finger into, so that you don't make mistakes and then regret it afterwards.
As a Nigerian worker, how can one basically secure their retirement?
Well, in order to secure a retirement, you need to start right before you retire. And I say, people know me to say this, that you need to start planning at least 10 years before you retire. And what that 10 year does is it gives you the room and the opportunity to make mistakes, because every business has an incubation period. There's no business, no matter how well you think you know that business, if you're getting into it initially, you make a lot of mistakes, and then there's a learning curve. And then after you understand the A to Z of the business, then you can comfortably say, I know this business very well, I can avoid the risk, and I can focus on the profitability. And again, this is why I like what the federal government is doing, because they've instituted this retirement program, or shall I say retirement training program, where we're part of it, by the way, where they would, ministries would nominate workers who are about to retire, and then they bring them in for a week, and then we'll train them in different value chains, what they can do, what are their options and everything, and then they go back and then try to implement some of these things that we've taught them. But unfortunately, the timing is, I believe, is not right. What do I mean by this? Is because you don't tell someone who has 1 year to go, or 1 week to go, or 1 month to go for a training, and then you think you'll be fine. Whether I like it or not, yes, he has learned a lot of things, but he's still confused. But you need a longer period of time to get rid of that confusion, that fear, because the fear of starting business is the beginning of wisdom, really, trust me. Because we that were in the business world, it's not easy to do business, especially for a civil servant who's been used to a routine for 35 years. It's difficult to pivot or to change your mindset away from the usual things that you're used to. You have to start thinking, okay, fine, if I don't work, I don't get paid. If I don't make profit, I don't pay my bills. But in civil service, you work very hard, but sometimes, whether you like it or not, as long as you're doing your work correctly, your salary is almost a constant. But in business, today you can make 1 million, for the next 90 days you may make 0. So you need to prepare yourself for that. You need to learn how to actually save a lot of money, plan for your rent, plan for your education, plan for your children, for food and all those things. So all those strategic planning are the things you need in order for you to prepare yourself very well for it. And of course, identify what risky businesses you should run away from, and which other businesses you think is safe. I call them safe businesses that a retiree should do. And at the same time, and I hope we have time to talk about what businesses retirees can put their fingers into, and of course invest their money into, and of course how to avoid fraud along the way.
Absolutely, we do. That's the basis of why we're here in the first place. I know a retiree who put his money into buying and selling of foodstuffs, and few months down the line, everything vanished. What are the businesses to avoid?
Well,
which ones are safe?
That is the big question. I mean, yes, the danger of retiring without having a plan is that people will bring suggestions to you. And of course, they know, oh, this guy is retiring. Oh, for sure, the government is going to pay him certain amount of money, your severance pay. And people will come up with ridiculous ideas. Even people who have not even done it by themselves say, oh, listen, I heard pure water business is good. Let's do pure water business. Oh, I heard selling rice and beans is good. Oh, I heard restaurant business. And people foolishly will just jump on the bandwagon, pour their few millions that they've gotten and that they've saved, and then everything will vanish, like you said. So that takes me to what businesses you should avoid. I would say first on my list is avoid. Uh, I don't want to poultry business on a small scale. And what I mean by small scale is like you have 100 chicken, 200 chicken, 500 birds that you are raising for meat in order to sell, when they mature. While the business is a fantastic business, but for a retiree, remember your resources are limited. And in that business, you are constrained by the cost of feeding the animals. And also, you are at the mercy of the off-takers or the buyers. After spending that much money raising the animals, if you don't get the right buyer at the right time, you end up losing a lot of money. In fact, some people will get angry, they'll just keep killing the chicken by themselves one by one and just eat it. Really. So you need to be careful, unless, of course, you have access to serious funds, which allows you to follow the value chain A to Z. What do I mean by that? You produce your own feed, which basically means you can offtake corn when it's in season. Like now, when corn is in season, or soybean, you offtake them in bags. You buy like several tons, and then you learn how to produce the feed yourself. You formulate it. That means you're cutting down 30% of the cost you would otherwise have lost by buying from third-party sellers. And then you raise your birds. If you have money, you can get an incubator machine to incubate the eggs yourself, or you just buy them day-old chicks. And then once they reach maturity, you need to invest in slaughtering the animals yourself. Because if you don't, the guy will just come and say, "Oh, guy, I'm going to buy this bird at 2,000 naira per each." And you say, "No, but my cost is 7,000. I don't care. Take it or leave it." So what do? Do you kill them? Do you put them in your freezer and wait for somebody to come to your house and knock? No. So the wise thing to do as a retiree is go the extra length. Have a system where you get the animals slaughtered yourself, and have a shop or an outlet where you sell directly to the end consumer. You will always make more money when you sell to the end consumer, and your profit is at least 80% of your entire investment if you follow from feed to selling to the customer. So that's that. And this is where I believe collaboration comes into play. Because in Africa, this is not just Nigeria now. We have this mentality of me, myself, and I. I don't want to work with him. I don't trust him. You don't trust her. The problem is, we need to start looking at the concept of cooperative businesses, where individuals will come in together and join their forces, or we can even say association of NTA retirees, for example, a pool of maybe 5,000 retirees coming together to actually own a large chicken operation, the meat business, for example. And that way, everything is legal. There's nothing like Abayam is the one controlling it. No, I think she's cheating me. No, you have a structure and you have companies who will manage the business for you. Take transparency. So that it's no longer, that guy, I think he's stealing the eggs, or he's stealing the birds. So Africans need to have this reorientation that success sometimes does not have to be only you. You need to work with people work with people. Create a legal structure that does not put power in the hands of one guy, which will probably push him towards corruption and all that. So that's another aspect. Another thing that, like you said, is avoid buying and selling as much as possible. When I say buying and selling,
Why is that?
because inflation is one thing that kills business. Imagine now you take last month, we were talking about rice just before we started airing. Someone bought it for 70,000 like 3 weeks ago, a month ago, a bag of rice, and now they're saying 120, 125,000. Imagine you took your money to buy bags of rice, you made a profit, and when you go back to the market to buy, the money you have is no longer enough to buy 10 bags. It's only 2 bags. So as a retiree, you cannot absorb that shock. You're not built for that level of uncertainty. So businesses you should give you a bit of peace of mind, and will give you that stability. What do I mean by businesses? Businesses such as spice production, or shall I say mini spice production enterprise, which basically involves you of taking products like ginger, garlic, and some other things, and you convert them into spices, into powder, that you pack and then you can sell. Why is that? Is because once you do your processing, you are not in a rush to sell it. You see, whether you sell it in 2 months, 1 month, 3 months, you have that shelf life to keep your investment secure. And the longer you keep it, the more the value rises. That's the reality. So, and there's a demand for certain spices at certain periods of the year. Like now we're in Harmattan, you need all the spices, garlic, ginger, and all those things that helps people fight infections and all that. So these are some of the business you can do. And on a much larger scale, you can do food storage business. Food storage business is a fantastic business that a retiree who have access to a couple of millions can do. What you need to do, you look, identify certain products. Now beans is being harvested in some parts of the north. What do? You go to those places like Kebbi or Bauchi or Niger. You have take white beans, red beans. Of course, you'll have to learn how this process works, not just buying and then just keeping it in your kitchen. No, you have to learn the standards of how to keep to avoid infestation of pests and all that. So you can do that and then keep the beans, and then before you know it, you can even be keeping for people. People will be paying to store, and then you can even sell for 20-30% profit after a few months. So these are some of the businesses you can do. Even cold storage business, there's always demand. Cold room, there's always demand for cold room, because what happens then is you actually necessarily don't have to spend money to stock the cold room yourself. Once you build it in strategic locations, people will come and say, "Oh God, please, can you store this thing for me?" You get your money cash up front. So it's an investment on its own. The cold room is an investment, is the value keeps appreciating. So these are some of the businesses, and there's a huge list of what businesses people can do. Agriculture, you can do that too, but be careful. Agriculture can be very, very precarious, because I've seen people who say, "You know what, I'm going to retire, I'm going to be a farmer," which is good, but then you go buy the land. After you buy the land, unfortunately, security situation makes you can't even go to the farm. You're scared of even going for the security of your workers and yourself. So people have abandoned their farms. So don't go into farming unless you're sure where you're farming is very secure, and also choose your crop wisely. Don't just grow what people think is profitable. And one other thing in the same vein of agriculture is greenhouses. Greenhouse cultivation,
nurseries,
not necessarily nurseries, greenhouse. Greenhouse cultivation, you grow food under a controlled environment. And the beauty of this is you need a small space even in the back of your house. If you've got a bit of space, maybe 10 meters by 20 meters, you set up a greenhouse, and then what do? You grow crops out of season, because you are controlling the environment. Like in my office, for example, we're producing okra, we're producing spinach and monokia, which is a weedu. You can't find it in the market now. It's true. It's ridiculously expensive, but because it's a greenhouse, I can produce. And people will be queuing and be begging you, say, "Madam, please sell to us. We want to buy." So that's something simple, not expensive. It's 2-3 million, set it up, and then income will start coming. You can even do strawberries, by the way, the things that people don't have access to. So these are some of the ideas that you can put your money into to secure your retirement, not necessarily what everybody is doing, and run away from the people say it's this. No, run away from hearsay. It's the fastest way to lose money.
Lose your money.
Exactly. So one has to be careful.
Let's talk about another very important variable: housing. Is your retirement time that time you want to start roofing that house to move in? Because nobody wants to retire and they are struggling with landlord and all of that. What can you tell me?
Unfortunately, when you retire is the wrong place, it's the wrong time to think of housing. It's a very wrong time, because you think about it. Let's say level 14 officer retires, and then they pay him maybe 15 million in his bulk money, and then he's going to be receiving 120, 150 every month. And then he has not, shall I say, completed his house yet. And then you say, "Okay, fine, let me quickly rush my house, let me finish it." Then he rushes to day, he rushes to market, he buys the roofing sheet, he does this and does that. Before you know it, because of the cost of building materials, that 15 million will finish in a week. And you're not even nowhere near where you want the house to be. So I would advise my listeners, please, 10 years, 5 years before you retire, ensure that you have a roof over your head. Ensure by all means necessary. And another thing I want to tell you, this may sound controversial. You don't need to live in the city as a retiree. Says who? Who says you must live in Abuja? You can go back to your village or to your town where life is cheaper, where you already have a house, because most people actually fall into this category. They have a house in their village or in their hometown, but because they're working in Abuja or in Lagos, they've had to be renting house for the last 20 years, and then they retire and say, "I must have a house in Lagos." It's not necessary, because you think about how much is the parcel of land now in Abuja, in a good location, minimum 8 million, 10 million. How much are you going to use to build? How much is blocks, cement, labor, tiles, fittings? So you don't want to fall into that trap. Let me pack all my money and just finish my house, and I'll pray to God to take care of me afterwards. Unless you want to build a tiny little box and then. But the truth is, sit down and think carefully that, you know what, let me go to cheaper places. Let me go to your village is always the best place, or your hometown, or where you were born is always the easiest place to settle down, and the peace of mind. And then you start something small, and then eventually when you're rich, you can now say, I want to go and build a house in Asokoro or whatever. You can always do that, but it's the wrong time to think of building a house.
As we wrap up, sir, please tell me what are you doing at the Africa House to, secure retirement in that sphere?
I mean, we do have a retirement program that we do across the continent, by the way. And there's a Pan African project which basically allows anyone from any part of Africa to invite us. And then we sit them down, we consult and advise different government agencies, even the private sector. They bring in their people, even with some agencies will even bring people in. At the moment they hire them, they start preparing them from the beginning. Say, you have 35 years to go, start planning now. So they bring them in, we advise them on all these things I've talked about. What are the options? We do the financial analysis. How much are you going to get when you retire? When you do retire, what do you have in savings and all that? So we guide them along this route. And then, of course, we work closely with the federal government of Nigeria in the retirement programs where they bring MDAs, and then we train people before they retire. And then, of course, we give them access to finance from different banks within Nigeria, and then they can use that as a foundation to start their business. So basically, we're very, very active in the retirement sphere as well.
For want of time, I have to stop us here. I wish we could go on and on. Thank you for coming and adding so much value. Well, there you have it. You can actually look towards your retirement with so much zeal and confidence if you do the right things and put the right things in place. We'll take a short break, and when we come back, we have more exciting discussions on Good Morning Abuja. Stay with us, please. Welcome back, and thank you so much for staying with us. Well, have you ever thought about your voice as an asset, an entrepreneurial asset? Well, now my guest is here with me, and he is the lead baritone vocalist for the Metropolitan Abuja Musical Society. He will help me x-ray the topic, the voice as an asset. Please let's meet and greet the incredible and legendary Matthew Samson Abba, also known as Matt the baritone. Good morning.
Good morning, you.
It's such a pleasure to have you on the show this morning.
Pleasure's all mine. Thank you.
Let's start the show this way. How did you discover there was something unique behind your voice and that it could actually have an entrepreneurial value?
Well, the voice for me, it was a gradual process. Discovering I have something I started back then singing as a choir boy. Of course, I'm still a choir boy, and started back then when I was in a very tender age, trying to I just believe I got something, and I want my voice to be heard. So I started, and then people started giving me feedback that okay, there's something unique about you. All thanks to late Mr. Achiteso. He was my music mentor then, So he told me I got something. I joined the choir, from the choir singing. Then I thought, okay, fine. What has it been? What good has it been? A shock in the pond. Why not just go expand your scope? And that got me to where I am now. I started seeking opportunities to go perform professionally, and that led me to competitions like The Voice in Nigeria, which I did. Fortunately got to the finals, and then singing with choral group like the Abuja Metropolitan Music Society. So all this professional platform, has breeded me and gotten me where I am as a classical artist. Performing artist.
Getting to The Voice Nigeria is no mean feat. So how you've been able to achieve success from your passion and turning it into a profession. Tell me about the transition.
Passion to career to the transition would be, well, as with every other career path in life, you need to first of all get into the system. You need to first of all get groomed, get the basic knowledge you need, to see how to succeed in this particular field. To me, I found myself in the performing arts field, and I got the voice. I do a lot of singing. What is holding me back? There's nothing holding me back. I'm just the one holding myself back to become what I want to be. So I decided to say, okay, I want to take music aside every other thing as an entrepreneur. I want to see how to hone my craft and then see how to get something from it. And I started putting myself out there, making content about me singing, applying for shows, seeking out gig, just doing all about branding. And that was how my passion transit into something, I would say, that's giving me something
Hmm.
now.
You own a remarkable degree background in music and
Thank you.
arts
Thank
generally.
you.
Would you say that all of that has teamed up to get you to where you are today successfully?
Yes. I don't know. Everything goes back to the journey. It goes back to the process because I
Mm-hmm.
just didn't, you know, I didn't stand up one day and decided that I want to become Matt the Baritone.
Okay.
There's always been a vision I have in my head to become Matt the Baritone. Um, I didn't know I would have a baritone voice. Matter of fact, I was singing in a boy choir. I was a soprano singer. So from there become a tenor singer, and as growth I keep evolving, and that's how I got myself being a baritone singer. So you first of all need to have the vision of what you want to be, or what you want to do with your life. Once you have the vision, the rest of it just follows up. That's what I would say. If you just have the vision, you want to become a thespian, you want to become an actor, you first of all, you need to have the vision, you see it in your head, then you see how to actualize it. You start going for auditions, you start applying for monologues, you start doing crazy things. As a singer, you start singing to the mirror, you start hearing your voice, start asking people for feedback.
So Matt, you were the first baritone singer to make it to The Voice Nigeria in the sense of classical music, a genre that isn't even so popular in Nigeria. How were you able to break that strong barrier and achieve that level of success?
Well, it was a competitive one for me, just like you rightly said. Coming from a genre that is not really recognized in this community, this system we are in, it was a hard one. I went into the show with a lot of goddamn talented musicians. They were from different genre, R&B, contemporary, Afrobeat, all of them, gospel, all of them, name it. So well, it was healthy, the competition was healthy, but the good thing is once you got it, once you got potentials, there is no way it can be hidden. And if anybody, even a blind man seated here, hear good potential, hear good thing, they would want to seek for more. They would want to know more about it. And that was how I got past through the blind audition. I was like, you know what, this is the first stage of it. If I didn't get it to the show, I go back home. But I believe because I've never doubted myself for once because I've I've done a lot of work. I've done a lot of work and I know what I got. I believe in myself. So I went there that night, stood in that stage, that studio, opening my mouth, doing the first singing. Bam! I just got a cheer tone, the fastest cheer tone
Wow.
in the history of one of the fastest cheer tone in the history
I
of The
mean, who
Voice.
wouldn't give it to you? Your voice is
I
amazing.
was surprised. And I chose my coach, Coach Waje,
The
and
incredible Waje.
she was really good. She was a mentor. She did a lot of make me to understand a lot of things aside just being a classical singer, how to utilize what I have, my talent in other genre of music, especially that the ones that works here in Nigeria. So
Mm.
I started fusing stuff like a little bit of contemporary classic pop, we call it classic pop, into my singing. I started doing songs that would appeal both the Gen Zs of our time
Mm.
now, and also the elderly, so both the young and old. I started trying to balance the stethoscope to make sure I my voice is heard. From there, the blinds to the knockout. From the knockout, I scaled through to the live show, and that was how I found myself in the live show because I did my homework. I did my homework,
Interesting.
and I believed in myself, and thankfully the voice taught me a lot. After the show, I just had to see music outside of the whole classical aspect of it, and see music of in a more versatile aspect, be it contemporary, be it R&B, but there's just a limit to which I can do.
Interesting. Having a voice as unique as yours is a huge blessing.
Thank
You
you.
know, and one of the essence of this show, why we're doing this show in the first place, is to guide young creatives out there for them to know that having their voice, it's unique and it can be a means of making money. It can be a huge asset. Talk to us about some of the other wonderful opportunities that you have been able to enjoy just from having a voice that is this gifted.
Well, for one, everybody wants to hear you. I mean, my tips sending to Mrs. Aisha got me here. So everybody wants to hear you when you have something. When you have something to offer, that's just life. It's just simple basics of life. You need to have something to offer for the public to want to consume. Once you have something to offer, everybody wants to listen. Everybody wants to know what it is. And how do I discover that? And how do I know?
Did you create your brand identity?
Well, it's by seeking for feedbacks. I remember those days then when I would do something, I would make an audition, I would just make a little bit of singing of me, but talking, because as a theater we abroad, we are exposed to a lot of, opportunities, be it reading, narration, and stuff. I'll just do that, send it to people to just tell me what to think. I'll do recording of myself, listen to myself. Oh, this is not what I want. This is not the sound I'm looking for. I'm looking for a more sound like Tom Jones. That's Tom Jones from The Lion King. Yeah, Mufasa. So I got to listen to people, artists, talented actors who I want to aspire to be.
Voice artists.
Voice artists who I would like to be like. So I played tips of Tom Jones all the time. I played tips of that's for the voice artist aspect. For the singing aspect, I started listening to Russian baritones like Dmitry Vorovsovsky. Because in our line of classical music, if you go over there to where it works, you have more of operas. They're different inside the genre of classical music. There are different units. So I started trying to want to be like this guy. So it is in trying that I started developing my own sound. I started getting my own sound, and before you know it, I figured I have something a little bit husky baritone when I speak or when I sing. And I said, okay, who is Matthew? And I said, okay, Matthew Samson, what can I do to make this to look like it is me? When you say Matt the baritone now, or you call Matthew Samson, you must add baritone to it because that is my
That's a
identity.
signature.
That's a signature. And the whole idea just came in my head. Okay, you know what? Instead of Matthew, why not just do Matt? Take out the Samson ABBA and bring in the baritone aspect to give you something of a brand. So I started it very small. Matt the baritone, MDB, Matt the baritone, MDB. I'll just do little things, just sending it out there for people to consume. Get criticism. Oh, this is ugly. This is harsh. This is. And all this criticism, both the hard ones, I don't learn the easy way. I learned the hard way. If you wanted me to do something and you want me to get it, give it to me the hard way. If you're right, you get me. But if you're not, I'll hit back you. So that's just how it works. So all this criticism over the years, I gathered them together. I have a recession and see how to own them. So I started going for taking master classes.
Oh, wow.
I started, going through the system, going back to learn the basics of, theater and performing arts. I started doing a lot of investment, personal investment on myself, and at the end of the day, here I am. So there should be a little idea of vision. When there's vision, then you should be ready to invest in yourself. You need to believe in yourself to want to invest in yourself. If you're not there, you can't just wake up one morning, think, okay, you're a singer, then you now go all over everywhere telling everybody, selling yourself, this is what you do. No, you need to, first of all, follow the process. Let people hear you sing. I was fortunate to have professional choral groups like Amemuso. I also have one of the best choir in Abuja, the Guardian Angel Catholic Police Chapel Choir, where I sing with the choir master. So just get involved. Be it somewhere where people hear you sing or hear you do things and let them criticize you. And that alone you would know if you're there or not.
Before we go, a country like Nigeria is musically competitive and vast. I mean, Afrobeat is all over everywhere in the
Yeah.
world. What type of future would you like to predict for the classical genre of music in this part of the world? Do you see it making the limelights?
Well, with the pen regime, God, I beg. Well, uh, if it ask me, I think I'm very optimistic.
Okay.
Yes, if you talk about the Nigerian entertainment industry, you can take that fact that Afrobeat it's at the cold front.
Yep.
You can take that fact. Though there are still people out there, over billions of Nigerians, there are still people out there who appreciate good. I mean, all the time they call me in Lagos for the wedding performance, come sing at the wedding,
Wow.
because when you want something like your wedding, I mean, Afrobeat is all you hear, what you hear all your lifetime. You want something that is love evocating. You need something that connects you, So that's where you need people who does this kind of music where comes with orchestra, people play strings and all those stuff, and do it properly. So yes, you seek out attention for classical artists. So seeing the future of Nigeria and classical music, I think there is a lot of fusion
Okay.
is happening recently. A lot of classical musicians seeking collaborations with the Afro style of singing, and that's why we have classic pop. So I think there is a future. There's a slim chance future for classical music in Nigeria. But be it as it may, it's never going to stop the fact that a lot of concerts still happens. People still enjoy the genre. People still pay money for ticket. Matter of fact, recently, just this last Sunday, we staged an opera. Musu Choir staged an opera. I casted as a role of Papagino. People paid. It was a sold out concert
Wow.
at Transcorp Hilton. So you could imagine that people still know what classical music is. People still enjoy good music. I mean, yes, there is a lot of noise you can take. You want to do Afro music, Afro beat. You want to be up there. You go club, do your stuff, high beat, everything. You want to connect yourself to church, listen to
Solemn.
gospel music, go to church, listen to gospel message, Chimwe and all those stuff. Listen to them. You want to connect yourself to R&B. You listen to the Chris Brown kind of singers, and you want to connect yourself to voice, something raw, something sublime, and just calm. You fall back to classical music.
Classical
So that's
music.
just it's a cycle. All of it is entertainment, and it depends on your mood and what you want to consume at that particular time.
All should be in the mix. Absolutely.
Oh.
Before I let you go, I am going to have to beg you to please bless us with the sound of your voice.
That one. The thing is, okay. What should I give? What should I sing now?
Any piece, yours or whoever's.
Well, I didn't have mine, so let's say I want to do. Let me do a spiritual.
Okay.
If I can help somebody as I pass along, if I can help somebody as the day goes on, if I can do my duty as a good man should, then my living shall not be in vain. Then my living shall not be in vain. Then my living shall not be in vain. If I can do my duty as a good man should, then my living, then my living shall not be in vain.
Whoa. theater right there. Undeniable talent.
Thank you
Thank
so
you so
much.
much for coming. All of us from the Unity Station, we are rooting for you, and we
Thank
know
you.
we'll see your name really in bold lights and gold all over the world. Thank you so much
Thank you.
for coming on the show. Well, there you have it, people. Matt, the baritone. Have you considered that your voice can also be an asset? Well, today is a good day to start to try it out. Stay with us on the show. When we come back from the break, there is more excitement.